we see is that dealers and OEMs, they want to control the experience because they want to make it more personalized and reduce friction. We're really excited about building products that do that because they also help us to make better loans, have better experience for our borrowers.
Welcome to Fintech Confidential, bringing you the people, tech, and companies that change how you pay and get paid. Welcome to Accrued, the Fintech Confidential series presented by LoanPro. In this series, we're deconstructing the complexities of lending and exploring compliance, optimization, modernization, and personalization through insightful conversations with the industry's best. I'm Ted Huff with my co-host Colton Pond, and we're here to guide you through the intricate lending world. Whether you're deep into LendTech or just intrigued on how the technology is reshaping lending, you're in the right place. Now let's dive into another episode of Accrued. Hey Colton, welcome back, man. After a short hiatus, we're so happy to have you back.
Thanks. It's good to be back in a new location as well. I'm in the studio this time, so we should have better audio, but it is good to be back. Thanks so much, Ted.
No worries. So let's go ahead and kick off this episode. Octane is quite the powerhouse, and they're transforming how we finance all the fun, making those dream purchases of power sports, vehicles, RVs, and so much more. But as we talked about in the very beginning before we hit record, not submarines, but some marine stuff. And it's not just a possibility, but Octane has really created a seamless experience to make those dreams become a reality. Their end-to-end digital buying experience is truly setting a new standard in recreational financing. And it's not just about the tech. Octane's business model is a perfect blend of business to business to consumer, partnering with recreational vehicle giants like Polaris, partnerships that ensure that dreamers and doers alike get to experience the thrill of ownership without any of the traditional financial hurdles. Mike, you've been in the driver's seat of product direction, strategy, implementation since joining Octane in August of 2018. And it seems that you have a knack for launching innovative products that push the envelope, and it has significantly contributed to Octane's growth and your journey. So I want to welcome you to the show and, welcome.
Thank you.
Mike,
good to be here.
Mike, it's good to have you, my friend. We know each other well. For the audience and viewers, found out that Mike at Octane and Octane was a customer of LoanPro, and we met at a dinner in New York City and realized that we live a few blocks away from each other and decided, you know what, we're going to become workout buddies and go work out. So my one workout a month is with Mike. I need to do it more often. I need to get in better shape. Mike always pushes me. But in addition to that, Mike is an avid traveler, swimmer, all things fun. But on the business side, one of the most brilliant product leaders that I've had the opportunity to engage with. So if you wouldn't mind, Mike, give the audience a view into your career path, how you got to Octane. And what I would personally love is, before this, we talked about guiding principles that guide you. Illustrate one of those guiding principles that's really impactful.
Here's a quick message from the Accrued series sponsor. As default rates continue to rise and margins compress in lending, financial organizations are searching for solutions to combine that operational efficiency with innovation. Look no further, as LoanPro allows lenders to enhance their origination, servicing, collections, and payments using the foundation of a modern lending core. Check out loanpro.io to learn more about how over 600 financial organizations have modernized their tech stack with LoanPro.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the kind words, Colton. First, let me say that our success at Octane is not due to me, but due to an amazing team of people here. I believe, jumping right to guiding principles, one of those is that your success in business is all about the people and the team. And I don't just mean the leadership. I mean every single person in the company, where real ideas turn into execution and come to fruition. I am a longtime car nut. So throughout my career, I've been in various product management jobs for a quarter century now, starting while I was at University of Michigan. Throughout my career, I'd say there's one simple thing that's tied it all together. That was empathy, understanding what people actually want and going out of my way to give it to them first, and then thinking about how do you make it a business? How do you actually monetize it? How do you, connect the dots so that the thing can scale? So my passion is cars. It has been since I was a little kid. I attribute that to being born in Los Angeles, where everybody's into cars. You kind of have to be to live in LA. So when I first started my career, I was involved with a couple startups that had nothing to do with cars. They were fun. I learned a lot. But at the same time, I was freelancing and writing about cars for various outlets just because it was a fun hobby. Doesn't pay much. Never did. Certainly doesn't now. And eventually I joined those two things together. First, I joined Prime Media, which was a media company that owned Automobile Magazine. And I led the web product and editorial function there, which, to be honest, at first was just me. And then moved on after a couple of years to Car and Driver Magazine, which was and is the biggest circulation car magazine in the world, has the largest automotive media web presence in the world, led digital efforts there for the better part of a decade, and was able to kind of bring my passion for cars and what I knew car enthusiasts wanted to digital platforms. After that, did some corporate stuff at Hearst for a few years, relaunched a Cosmo website, put together a business plan for Hearst Automotive. But then I followed one of my mentors, a guy named Chip Perry, went to TrueCar, where I worked on automotive marketplaces. But both Chip and I left after a few years, and I found, I think, the right place for me, which is Octane. And Octane's exciting because we're not doing cars right now, but we are doing power sports. And power sports are actually an even more fun kind of vehicle because cars have gotten so fast that you can't really drive them on public roads to their limits or anything close to them. But power sports, you can use off-road, you can bomb around. They're a more raw experience. And a lot of big car nuts are really starting to turn to power sports. For a lot of car nuts, power sports is the new hot sports car. And that's because they're raw and they're fun and you can use them anywhere. And really push them to their limits. And that's a ton of fun. So moving to Octane for me was really a natural progression.
Mike, it's funny as you talk about this, all I can think of is all the UTVs that are around my neighborhood here in Arizona. Man, there are some that have got like 30-inch wheels and tires on it. Some have got these huge stereo systems you can hear from a mile away. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that.
Oh, I know.
But it's just crazy to see how a lot of these guys that used to tinker with their cars and do all this customization have made that switch over to those vehicles. It's awesome to see that there's that enthusiasm that continues to go through. But one of the things you pointed out, and I really... Mike, I'd really like you to break down for us how you're leveraging technology to make the loan process for these as friction-free as possible, especially for those who are really looking to finance their recreational dreams.
Octane developed its own platform, and that doesn't sound super sexy, but what it allows us to do is manage the whole buying and lending process end to end and make it simple and automated. Before Octane, the process of financing power sports, and the vast majority of new power sports purchases are financed. And the process sort of looked like fill out a paper app, your dealer faxes it somewhere, come back in a few days once everything is done and you have a decision. And it was quite opaque, and a lot of deals got lost or people got frustrated because of that long lag. And so we turned it on its head and we said, well, why not allow people to either do a digital credit app through a dealer or with our pre-qual product, do it right on their phone or their computer at home or in the dealer, take that process through from applying to getting a loan in minutes and not days. So it really is, by automating every single piece of it, from the document processing to even the credit decisioning. All of it is instant, and it allows us to turn people's passions into purchases in minutes and not days.
Oh, I love that passions to purchases. I love that. I love that statement. I'm going to put that one in the old mental bank.
Yeah. Mike, diving in deeper there. So this segment that we're doing 3 episodes with consumer lenders, folks that lend to consumers, Octane being squarely in there. One of the unique aspects that I love as a marketing person is your go-to-market approach in a B2B2C way, in partnering with retailers and OEMs and others. So give us context on what role that plays in enhancing the customer experience. You shared a little bit on what they were used to, but how does that play a fundamental role? Because I can't just go to Octane's website and get a loan.
Yeah. So Octane is a point of sale lender. It means that every loan that we do is actually originated by one of our dealer partners. And what we've done is we've created a suite of technology tools that joins together our OEM partners. So OEM partners help us provide low promotional rates with our dealer partners who actually engage the customers and sell them the units and finalize the financing. We've created these digital tools that sit on the OEM websites and they sit on the dealer websites, so that instead of customers just kind of applying into some random form or CRM, they're actually applying and submitting their information directly to our loan origination system and instantly getting qualified for loans. So that means that somebody who goes on an OEM website or a dealer website from their home and then walks into a dealer, they're already qualified and ready to go. The dealer in many cases can just click contract, and the customer then signs it on their phone, and that's it. So it's having the partnerships with the dealers and the OEMs, and they're using our technology that allows us to make those loans pretty instantaneous.
And I'm sure that drives increased trust, right? If we think about financial services and lending, and especially consumer lending, previously there's been a lot of distrust. You going directly to folks like Polaris and the customer engaging with Polaris with Octane behind the scenes, I'm sure drives greater trust, which drives greater conversion rates and all the things that they want.
No, that's all true, and it does. We have trusting relationships with our dealer and OEM partners, and that trust is mutual. And yes, there is the conferred trust that comes from associating with them, but we also have a very transparent experience where you understand right away if you're pre-qualified to buy. Our pre-qualification is unlike pretty much any pre-qualification out there, in that when you get pre-qualified with us, the rates and terms that are generated are the real rates and terms.
Hey, Ted Huff here. Ever thought about how you could streamline your application and underwriting process? Well, let me introduce you to Under. Why keep using the outdated methods of PDFs when you can digitize them effortlessly? All you gotta do is upload the PDF, send it out for digital signature, and voila, you're set for the digital age. Are you curious on how to make that happen? Head over to under.io/FTC and get started for free. It's really that simple.
As you talk about all these different ways that you've reduced the friction, you've made it easy for them to understand where they stand. Can you give us a sneak peek, maybe behind the curtain a little bit, and help us understand like what technologies you guys are using to make this such a revolutionary way to apply for these financing?
Yeah, absolutely. Our core stack is proprietary. And we also, but our proprietary stack really just covers the things that we are going to do better than anyone else. So the way that we decision loans, the way that we process loans, those are things where our proprietary stack is necessary and where we've built that up over the past decade.
I hear proprietary, and that means, Ted, I'm not really going to tell you, but I'm going to give you a little bit of information.
That's a secret sauce.
Sorry, Mike.
Come on, it's a secret sauce.
Yeah. I mean, we're not, I mean, and honestly, it's not the technology, it's the team of people building it. And it's how we have broken down the walls between risk and technology in our organization so that we can build things quickly and we can build things that both satisfy our risk and compliance appetite and are delightful to our customers and our dealers, partners, and our OEM partners. That is the secret sauce. Honestly, the hardest thing we've done as a company is figuring out how you take a technology forward organization, which is also a very mature financial institution. So how do you join that rigorous financial culture with a technology culture so that you can build products that produce great financial returns, but bring customers in the door because they are a great product experience? It's really that cultural thing that is our secret sauce. It's not any one piece of technology. The cultural thing allows us to build the great platform.
So I love that, Mike. And jumping in a little bit more, tying back to the guiding principle you brought up of empathy and having empathy for people and the end customer and building around that. I feel like, man, if product leaders could capture that principle and that guiding principle, we'd be way better product leaders to understand customers and what they're going through. Would love your thoughts on how you look at that market and how you drive determining, is this a qualified borrower or not?
Well, I think in a nutshell, first it comes down to the culture. The product and engineering teams partner very closely with the risk team to figure out the most innovative ways to assess risk. And I'll say that slight distinction, we don't really do much subprime. For us, subprime is a little bit of a different sector. We do primarily prime lending, but we also do near prime. And that was where we initially entered the market. Think of it as people with a FICO score in the 600s, low 700s. And how do they typically get left behind by big banks. So how did we figure out how to responsibly lend to those people? Well, it's about data and it's about modeling. So we don't do manual processes. There's no review like the dealer calls and says, oh, this is a really good customer, trust us. No, it's all about data and modeling. And so we bring in as many data sources as we can, and they help us decide everything from what kind of credit offer, if any, do we want to make, to what is the fraud risk that we see with this person, to what is this person's income, and do we need to validate this person's income to make the right decision? So we've always been pretty conservative, but by using great data and sophisticated models, we're able to expand our lending box.
So it sounds like every one of the loans that you're doing is very custom to each one of the individuals, and delivering that out to your partners that are on the dealer front and actually selling them. It sounds like it gives them a little bit of and maybe not a little bit, probably quite a bit of a home field advantage when competing against the others out there. How does pulling some of this alternative data in and comparing it to the other stuff help us understand how that works in the real world compared to the way you guys thought it would be going when you first started doing it?
Yeah. Well, in the real world, first I'll nerd out a little bit and tell you, technology-wise, most lenders have a FICO buy box. They pull the FICO score, and if you're between A and B, you get this rate, and B and C, you get that rate. It's purely based on FICO. We have a proprietary model that is based on a lot of our own homegrown attributes.
Sorry, you said proprietary again, and it took everything. I could not laugh. So continue. My apologies, Mike.
We have our own model that produces a score that's different to the FICO score, but more predictive in our market than the FICO score. Yeah. And that includes data from the credit bureaus, but it also includes other data. So what does that mean in the real world? It means that when a dealer gets an offer from us, oftentimes, well, A, it's quicker because it's instantaneous, but B, we oftentimes have a better offer or an offer where competitors have none, because we're able to see these other data attributes about people and understand that not all, but some of them are going to be a very good credit risk that we would take, where others might say no. or others might give them a poorer offer based solely on FICO. So it gives us more insight into who the customer is so that we can make better decisions. For the record, we also pull FICO, and that is absolutely one of the factors we use.
What I love about that, Mike, at a prior job, we did some cash flow underwriting stuff, and we would talk about this all the time, where FICO is an indicator, but does not need to be the only indicator of should I lend money or not, because there are people with high FICO scores. You think about if I had a job at Meta and I make $400,000 a year and I get laid off tomorrow and I have a 780 FICO, I could go get a loan. I could go get a personal loan and I would be just fine. But I may not be the best person to loan to. I just lost my job. Where there's people with like a 650 or 630 credit score, really good income, really good at their attributes that you can depict. And those are great people to lend to. I'd love to tie this then together with thinking about portfolio performance and default rates. I know Octane has an amazing portfolio and very performant portfolio. Y'all do a lot of good things. Help us understand the philosophy there, how you think about tying those two together in relation to portfolio performance.
The most common cause of bad customer experience isn't that high tech. It's embarrassingly simple. Yep, it's answering questions. In e-commerce, it's really easy to get bogged down with common questions, whether that's where's my package, how do I return or exchange this item, or just to cancel a subscription. SolvePath is an AI-driven customer support system that enhances the customer experience with visual formats and self-serve technology to empower your customers to handle their own support requests. Get the best customer support system for your business. Get SolvePath. Get started by visiting getsolvepath.com.
Well, first, I want to give a shout out to our amazing risk team. We wouldn't be the company we are without them. And that's true on their modeling in terms of how we extend offers to how we actually service our loan book. And we partner with LoanPro LoanPro runs our servicing platform. What we love about LoanPro is that because it's API driven, we can connect it directly into our proprietary platform and make it part of our overall stack seamlessly. And what that means is that as we develop models for how we approach servicing loans or for collections, when we want to bring in additional vendors who help us automate some of those things, we can easily connect them to both LoanPro and our own systems. It's about dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making sure that you do things well, making sure that you do things compliantly, and then being smart about who which customers you're contacting, when you're contacting them, what kind of messaging are we using when we're contacting them to give them the best experience. Because if they get the best experience, they are going to be better at repaying their loans. And that's a big part of why we see such great loan performance.
Mike, so I'm super curious because you've talked about like all these different things that you think about and how you approach the experience from the consumer side. What strategies has Octane implemented to really keep these default rates down? Because you've mentioned it, Colton's mentioned it, and I'm assuming that when they do default, that you guys are having a much higher success rate with collections. What are the strategies that you can share that aren't proprietary to help us understand how and why?
Part of it is having great people who know what they're doing. We didn't just assume, like so many tech startups do, that, hey, because we're a tech startup, we're smarter than everyone else. We actually brought in a lot of people who have significant experience in loan servicing to help us spool up that function. And they've done that very well. But then what we did is we said, all right, we're going to start with kind of the normal way that you do things. And then we said, help us understand your process. Help us understand how to make that better. And where we've used technology is saying, hey, instead of some supervisor having to pore over things and figure out who's going to call who, where it's just as likely as not someone just spaced out on paying a bill, we could do that without annoying people. We're actually looking now at reducing frequency of contact because incremental contacts may not actually drive better performance, and it makes the customers happy if they just get the contacts that they want and need. And we've seen great results with that.
So I love that. And it goes to a theme that we've talked about on this podcast series on transforming lending from a transactional transaction to a relationship, and how to do that efficiently. And a lot of people have previously done lending. I give you money, you give me money back. You don't give me money back, I hurt your credit score and I repo my asset. Relative, like consumers want to pay their loans, right? And one of the coolest things I've seen with Octane, Mike, hopefully you don't mind me sharing, but Octane does a really good job when you look at portfolio performance on when a borrower gets 30, 35, 40, 50 days past due, how do you get them back? So many lenders out there, oh, you're 30 days past due. Okay, you owe me double as much, and I'm going to hit fees, and then you owe me triple as much. And then all of a sudden, the consumer's sitting back and being like, I'm never going to be able to dig out of this hole. You know what? Forget about it. I can just totally default on this loan. It's no big deal to me. But in reality, the lender wants the money. The consumer wants a better financial relationship. And Octane has done a really good job of how to help customers that are about to go default come back and get right. So would love your thoughts there, Mike, of how you approach that and how you approach that from having empathy and a customer-centric view, as you mentioned.
When we say the word empathy, sometimes we think that it's just a one-on-one thing. But the reality is that we can train our models and our systems based on what consumers actually want and what they do, so that we're exhibiting empathy through our platform. And that's a big part of it, is saying, all right, given everything we know about this customer, what is the thing that's most likely going to engage them to actually want to pay? And so that is part and parcel with what is going to engage the consumer the best, what's going to give them the best experience so that they actually want to pay us back. And so we use LoanPro as our core platform, and then we put our own collections models on top of that using all kinds of different data, and then layering those pieces on so that we're making the right decisions about who to call, how to call them, when to call them, how frequently, what messaging to use. That's how we drive really great performance. So it is systematized empathy.
How are you using these strategies really to shape the future of lending at Octane? How is it helping you when you're thinking about strategies to extend maybe into other areas of lending? How are you thinking that from a strategic perspective?
It really comes back to our culture of joining technology with high performance lending products. And so as we're working with dealers and as we're working with manufacturers, that's usually how we enter, or always how we enter markets. We are not a direct consumer lenders. And so it's really about going to them and saying, yeah, we know you have lending, but think about how lending can be a driver of your business if you put it at the forefront of your experience. We actually go through an exercise internally called hopes and fears, where we say, what are the customer's hopes and what are their fears? And how do we address those things in a meaningful way so that they get more excited and reduce their anxiety? So, for example, by taking a pre-qualification product and putting it right on a manufacturer's site in a very non-confrontational way where a customer can use it in their own home, they can get more excited about a purchase and alleviate any anxiety, especially if they don't have perfect credit, about whether or not they could qualify. And from an OEM's perspective, we can also take their promotional rates that they have and bring that right into the experience. From a dealer's perspective, we can take the inventory that they have and apply offers directly to that inventory so that it isn't this abstract concept of, oh, I sort of like this vehicle and I guess I need to go in and get it financed. It's very real. It's very actionable for people. Mm-hmm. So we continue to expand our end-to-end process to cover ever more pieces of it so that OEMs and dealers see us not just as a lending partner, but as a way to increase their customer base.
So on that expansion note, I love that because it ties into embedded finance and embedded lending. And a lot of what Octane is doing is around embedded lending, which I believe the future of finance has a large aspect of embedded lending with brands who have customers and how to reach those customers through financial products. We love the power sports market because it's fun and exciting, right? And Ted hears it all the time in his backyard. But true. I know somewhat recently, Octane made the pivot and shift or addition to go into the RV lending space. So help us understand that leap.
From a customer perspective, there's crossover, right? If you're somebody who does power sports, you may also like to go camping. You may also like to use an RV. It is a really different market, though. RV loans are much longer. The average weighted life of our power sports loans is just over 2 years. In RV, it's many years. And the initial loan terms are twice to 3 times as long as well. They're bigger, more expensive purchases. And the dealers operate a little bit differently, where there is a higher degree of consolidation in the dealer market. So there are a few big players. And that's interesting because they're willing to invest a lot in building great digital experiences with great embedded lending. And so that's where we've been able to capitalize, is that most lenders, when you talk to them about embedded lending, when you talk to them about building an end-to-end experience in partnership with whether it's a large dealer group or a large OEM, it's very difficult for them to conceptualize anything other than, I don't know, can you embed a fax machine into your website? And that's where we've been able to really change the market, is by saying, yeah, we can embed the whole process end to end, give the customer everything they need, give the merchant everything they need, give transparency and visibility through the process, and monitor KPIs in real time.
You mentioned something that I guess I just natively thought about, is that crossover between the RV and the power sports. They're so similar, like you were mentioning. Actually, I can't think of anybody that's a friend of mine that has an RV that doesn't have power sports. So when I think through that, but although they're the same person, how does the lending approach to RVs differ from what you've done in the power sports space, even though they're similar?
The payment's larger. It falls at a different place in a customer's payment waterfall in terms of what bills they're paying and when.
What I've had my eyes open up into in this conversation has been, there is so much data, and there's so much data to look at that actually is indicative and predictive of a performant portfolio, which is what any lender wants, is to drive portfolio performance. And that customization and personalization, I feel like, is key. How do you personalize? And how do you customize what y'all are doing?
Support provided by Skyflow. What if you could build fast but not break privacy? What if you could ensure data privacy, governance, and compliance with just a few API calls? What if you could worry less about PCI requirements while actually improving privacy and security? How much more time would your team have to truly innovate? How much faster could you build and ship new features? How much more powerful could your app be? Skyflow is a zero-trust data privacy vault delivered as an API. Skyflow's radically simple design lets you collect, secure, and tokenize personal information like card data and payment details. And with built-in features like encrypted data analysis and sharing, anonymization, and advanced governance, your days of choosing between data security and data usability are over. Whether you're just concerned with PCI compliance or need to go further to include CCPA, GDPR, SOC 2, and beyond, Skyflow has you covered. What if you could build fast but not break privacy? With Skyflow, you can. Visit skyflowsecure.com today to learn how.
On the servicing side, again, it's about getting ever more personalized so that no two customers are having the same experience, and we're actually delivering a customized one-on-one experience to every single borrower when it comes to how we engage with them.
From your perspective, how would you overcome that feeling of uncertainty?
We've got to prove that it's better to our dealer partners. That's all it is. We have very close relationships with a lot of dealers. They trust us and we trust them. And they have been great at helping us pilot new products. If we do it well, they're going to see a better product, better rates, higher approval rates, or getting more butts and seats. And if that's the case, then they're going to like it and they're going to want more of it. Our goal is to offer the best possible overall deal structure to every customer where it's more personalized. All the data sources we use are highly vetted to make sure that they are not having a disparate impact on people. So instead of trying to make it this very subjective thing where biases can come into play, we're using models that we know are unbiased with data sources that we know are unbiased and truly looking at capacity and propensity to repay. It's about making sure that we're not enabling any kind of unfair lending and automating it and using objective data sources. We're not using like large language AI. A lot of companies say they're using it. I haven't seen any way to actually use some large language model to make a credit decision in a way that is unbiased and fair. So, our eyes are open. We'll use AI for other things, like how do we communicate with customers better, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm super glad, Mike, that you're the one that brought up the buzzword AI. I didn't do it this time. I think that's the first time in this entire series that's happened. We always like to end the episode by saying, let's pull out the crystal ball. Let's look ahead to the future and understand from your and Octane's perspective, what are the trends that you're seeing in financing? Where are they headed? And especially, where do you believe that Octane is going to be able to lead the charge in those changes?
One trend we see is that dealers and OEMs, they want to control the experience. And they want to control the experience because they want to make it more personalized and reduce friction. We're really excited about building products that do that because they also help us to make better loans, have better experience for our customers, our borrowers, and ultimately see lower credit losses and better loan performance. The other big trend that I see right now is a rapid acceleration of the amount of data and kinds of data that are available to make decisions, which will help us further expand beyond what we already have even, the pool of customers who can get great financing, and to do so in a way that is not only fair and compliant, but that has great credit performance as well. Another big trend is that I'd say data rules the world, and leveraging that data quickly is one of our superpowers.
You mentioned something, data rules the world. I have a shirt that says the data doesn't lie. And then I also have a shirt from Mike that says compliance is cool. So I can authorize that they are very focused on compliance. I should have worn it today. I'll wear it next time we work out for sure. But what I loved about this conversation is the focus on technology, the focus on innovation, but the end message of how to drive personalization in lending and finance to eventually the segment of one, right? And it's a big vision and passion project of mine of how to do drive greater personalization in what we do within finances. On your end, Mike, any concluding remarks in relation to the role that you're using technology and innovation to truly meet customers' needs where they're at?
A job is fun when I'm learning and when I'm making a difference for people. And I'm having fun in this job, having been here now for 5.5 years, because we continue to learn, we continue to build new things, and all those things make our customers' lives better. So I don't know, maybe that sounds a little bit
cliche.
Yeah, it sounds a little cliche, but it really is true that it takes a great team of people to do that. You've got to empower your people, and you have to be radically empathetic to your customers. And as long as you do that, you'll keep making products better, and you'll keep gobbling up market share and having a great profitable business.
Mike, this episode has been a lot of fun. Like Colton mentioned, it's really nice to sit down with you again. I got an opportunity to sit down with you in January and learn a little bit about your perspective, but this has completely expanded my understanding of how you approach everything. So I really appreciate you being on the show today.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was good. I still can't live up to, dying and coming back to life and, everything else. But
Mike texted me last night. He said, I can't live up to Brett Beardall. The man is a legend. Like, he is legendary for sure. And then the other exciting part is we're actually recording this episode on Pi Day, March 14th. I'm actually, I just got a ping from my team because I'm 15 minutes late and I'm supposed to go get a pie in the face for my team. So hopefully, Mike, you got me out of like being late and getting a pie in the face, but I'll let you know how that goes.
You'll have to tell me about the pie in the face when we see each other Saturday.
Well, just kind of recapping the things that we've talked about, and Colton, you did a really good job of it just a moment ago. But what I take away from it is treating everybody as an individual through the data that is available, that is compliant, to really give them the best opportunity at not only acquiring that dream recreational vehicle, but also doing it in a way that doesn't make them feel like less if they're having to move forward throughout their life. And I think that's really interesting. And I love the level of empathy that you guys have brought into the whole experience.
Well, thanks for having me today. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. So that is a wrap for this episode of Accrued, a Fintech Confidential series presented to you by LoanPro. And if you haven't already, if you made it this far, congratulations. I give you a round of applause. Go ahead and subscribe to our email notifications at fintechconfidential.com/notifications. And of course, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. You can find us on your favorite podcast player under Fintech Confidential. And as always, keep moving forward.
As we wrap up today's episode, I've got one last thing for you. If you're in the trenches fighting fraud and financial crime, you know it's a complex battlefield. That's where Hawk's AI tools for real-time payment screening, AML, transaction monitoring, and dynamic customer risk rating come into play. These aren't just buzzwords. They're game changers designed to make your compliance more effective and less of a headache. Imagine slashing through false positives with precision and giving your compliance strategy the edge it needs. Head on over to GetHawkAI.com to sign up for a demo and discover how their platform can revolutionize how you fight fraud and financial crime.
This has been a production of DD3 Media with all rights reserved. This is provided for informational purposes only. It is not offered or intended to be used as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. We strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, but will not be responsible for any missing facts or inaccurate information. You comply and understand that you should use any of this information at your own risk. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile financial assets, so research and make your own financial decisions.